Fan Man. During the 7th round of the rematch between Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, James Fan Man Miller descended into the ring using a parachute. Fans and security began beating him until he was unconscious. He was transported to the hospital, and the fight continued. Fan Man was arrested a year later for flying over the Los Angeles Coliseum during the NFL playoff between the LA Raiders and Denver Broncos. Riot in MSG. On July 11, 1996, Polish fighter Andrew Golota faced off against former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe. Golota dominated the fight and came close to securing a knockout. However, in the 7th round, Golota began intentionally hitting Bowe below the belt, despite warnings and point deductions from the referee. Eventually, Golota was disqualified due to repeated low blows. Bowe's corner reacted by attacking Golota and his team, sparking fights in the crowd at Madison Square Garden. Security was overwhelmed, leading to the arrival of New York riot police. The altercation left approximately 17 people injured and resulted in 10 arrests. Pritchard Colon. This entry refers to undefeated light middleweight boxer Pritchard Colon. On October 17, 2015, Pritchard was set to face Terrell Williams. Throughout the match, Williams repeatedly struck Pritchard in the back of the head. In the 5th round, he became frustrated of the referee's failure to deduct points and retaliated by hitting Williams below the belt, resulting in a deduction of 2 points for Pritchard. Despite this, Williams continued to target the back of his head in the following rounds until Pritchard's corner intervened, ending the match and removing his gloves. As a result, Pritchard was disqualified. Afterwards in the locker room, he vomited and collapsed. He was later diagnosed with a left-sided subdural hematoma, which has left him unable to walk or speak till this day. Boxing a bear. In 1949, boxer Gus Waldorf participated in a professional match against a bear. The fight occurred within a caged ring, following the rules of traditional boxing. To ensure safety, the bear's claws were trimmed, and it wore a muzzle, along with specially crafted boxing gloves made for bears. Ultimately, the bear won, securing victory by knockout. Floyd used as a shield. In a 2015 BBC interview, Mayweather Sr. revealed he used his son, Floyd "Money" Mayweather, as a shield for protection. He recounted a confrontation with Money's maternal uncle, Baboon, who allegedly attempted to shoot him with a shotgun in a dispute over drugs. Mayweather Sr. resorted to using his son as a barrier. Baboon shot him in the leg rather than risk shooting Money. Bud shot. This entry refers to two-division undisputed champ Terrence "Bud" Crawford. In 2008, Bud was playing dice with friends. After winning several rounds, he decided to leave. As Bud got into his 1986 Ford Cutlass, an assailant wielding a 9mm handgun approached his vehicle and fired a shot, striking him in the back of the head. Despite the injury, Bud managed to drive himself to the hospital. Medical professionals later informed him that the glass had slowed down the bullet, causing it to ricochet off his skull. This near-death experience prompted Bud to turn his life around and commit more seriously to boxing. Tyson's daughter. On May 26, 2009, Exodus, the 4-year-old daughter of Mike Tyson, tragically got caught in a treadmill cord while playing. Discovered by her 7-year-old brother, she was quickly taken to a Phoenix hospital, where despite efforts to save her, she tragically passed away from her injuries. Caleb Plant's mom. On March 9, 2019, a 911 call was made to transport Beth Plant, the mother of Caleb Plant, to a hospital. While in the ambulance, Beth retrieved a knife from her bag and began stabbing the window. The medic pulled over and contacted the police. Upon their arrival, Beth approached them with the knife. Despite repeated orders from Sergeant Ivy to drop the knife, she did not comply, leading to him fatally shooting her. The body camera footage of the incident was later made public. Sugar Ray's dream. In 1947, Sugar Ray Robinson was scheduled to fight Jimmy Doyle for the welterweight title. The night before the bout, Robinson had a dream in which his left hook fatally struck Doyle. Robinson attempted to cancel the fight, but was advised otherwise by a priest who dismissed the dream's significance. Robinson dominated the match until the 8th round when he knocked Doyle out with a right hook. Despite being saved by the bell, Doyle's corner threw in the towel. He was rushed to the hospital where he died of his injuries. Robinson donated the earnings from his next 4 fights to Jimmy Doyle's mother to build her dream house. James Butler Sucker Punch. In November 2001, James Butler and Richard Grant met in a charity match aimed at supporting survivors of the September 11th attacks. Grant emerged victorious over Butler by unanimous decision. However, after the bout, Butler, seemingly extending a handshake, instead delivered a vicious sucker punch to Grant. The attack left Grant with severe facial injuries, including a broken jaw and a lacerated tongue, necessitating numerous stitches. Butler was swiftly apprehended, convicted of assault, and served time behind bars for his actions. Tragically, his story takes a darker turn. Despite the consequences, Butler attempted to resume his boxing career but couldn't recapture his former glory. In October 2004, he faced charges for the murder of Sam Kellerman, the brother of HBO boxing analyst Max Kellerman. Using a hammer, Butler fatally beat Sam before setting his body on fire. In 2006, Butler pleaded guilty to the crime and received a 29-year prison sentence. Don King. Prior to becoming a boxing promoter, Don King operated one of Cleveland's largest numbers rackets. In 1954, he fatally shot a man named Hillary Brown for attempting to rob one of King's gambling establishments. King defended himself in court, claiming the shooting was an act of self-defense. The court accepted his argument, ruling the killing as justifiable homicide, leading to King's release. On April 20, 1966, Don King engaged in a confrontation with one of his employees, Sam Garrett, at the intersection of Cedar Avenue and East 100th Street in Cleveland. King claimed that Garrett owed him $900. Garrett protested that he only owed $600. Their dispute escalated into a physical altercation in the street. While the precise details of the fight vary, witnesses, as reported by Film Daily, stated that King kicked Garrett in the head multiple times and struck him with a .38 caliber revolver before being stopped by 2 Cleveland detectives. Garrett died of his injuries in the hospital 5 days later. During the 1967 trial, Don King asserted self-defense, claiming Garrett threatened his life outside a bar over the payment dispute. King admitted to returning kicks but denied stomping on Garrett's face or using the revolver, which he held in his right hand. He stated he only punched with his left hand. However, 2 detectives testified witnessing King kick Garrett in the head. The jury, comprised of 8 women and 4 men, deliberated for 4 hours before convicting King of second-degree murder, carrying a potential life sentence. The charge was later reduced to voluntary manslaughter. King served 3 years and 11 months in Ohio's Marion Correctional Institution. Frankie Lucas missing for 30 years. British boxer Frankie Lucas, a 2-time ABA middleweight champion, was initially set to represent England at the 1974 Commonwealth Games in New Zealand. However, he was replaced by the opponent he had defeated in 1973. Disheartened, Frankie turned professional, amassing a record of 10 wins and 7 losses. After a devastating knockout by Tony Sibson, meaningful fights became scarce, leading to Frankie's depression. For over 30 years, he remained out of the public eye, with many assuming he was deceased. Tragically, it was later revealed that he had been battling brain cancer and had slipped into a coma. Frankie Lucas passed away on April 8, 2023. Macho. On November 24, 2012, Puerto Rican boxer Hector Camacho and his friend Adrian Moreno were sitting in Camacho's Ford Mustang outside a bar in Puerto Rico when a group of men approached them and opened fire, injuring both men. Camacho sustained a gunshot wound to the face and was clinically brain dead but remained on life support until he died several days later. Bags of cocaine were discovered in Moreno's possession. Among the suspects are William Rodriguez Rodriguez, Luis Ayala Garcia, and Joshua Mendez Romero, who are held on an $800,000 bond each. Additionally, Jesus Naranjo Adorno and Juan Figueroa Rivera were identified as suspects and are held on bonds of $300,000 and $1 million, respectively. Duke Ko Kim. Carlos Monzon and his wives. Carlos Monzon, the former world champion boxer, was accused of killing his wife after she fell to her death during an early morning altercation at their apartment. Alicia Muniz, Monzon's third wife and a part-time actress, was declared dead at the scene. The incident unfolded in an apartment where Muniz was staying with television actor Adrian Martel, according to police. Authorities reported that the couple engaged in a loud argument around 6:45 a.m., leading to a physical altercation that resulted in Muniz falling from the second-story balcony to the street. This isn't the first instance of violence in Monzon's marital history. In February 1973, he survived being shot twice during an argument with his wife, Anna Maria. Jesse Chuvalo. George Chuvalo was a Canadian 5-time heavyweight champion, most known for never being knocked down in his 93 fight career. This entry refers to his son Jesse becoming addicted to heroin and getting his 2 brothers hooked on it. In February 1985, a year after Jesse started using, he lodged a .22 caliber rifle in his mouth and pulled the trigger while the rest of his family was on their way home from dinner at a neighborhood steakhouse. Samuel Tia. Super lightweight boxer Samuel Tia and his family settled in Philadelphia after fleeing from a war-torn Liberia in 1992. Many of his relatives later died in a house fire in the city, inspiring him to have 12/26/8 stitched into his boxing trunks to commemorate their deaths. Samuel was in Delaware visiting the mother of his child on November 24, 2023, the day after Thanksgiving, when he was fatally shot. The city police later determined it as self-defense. No additional information has been disclosed. Edwin Valero's wife. On the 18th of April 2010, Venezuelan boxer Edwin Valero was arrested after police found the body of his 24-year-old wife, Jennifer Carolina Vieira de Valero, in a hotel in the city of Valencia, Carabobo. She had been stabbed 3 times. Valero was considered a suspect and was taken to jail. Valero allegedly admitted to hotel security and police that he had murdered his wife. The day after being taken to jail, Valero was found hanging in his jail cell by his pants. Freddie Mills was a serial killer. For 20 years, Freddie Mills was one of the best-loved figures in British sport. According to a book about Freddie, it claims he was a vicious serial killer, responsible for the brutal deaths of at least 8 young women whose naked bodies were found in or around the River Thames between 1959 and 1965. All of the victims were working as prostitutes and died when their killer, dubbed Jack the Stripper, strangled or choked them during sex. In July 1965, a few months after the last body was discovered, Mills was found slumped in the back of his car in a Soho alleyway. He had been shot in the head, and a small caliber rifle was resting between his knees. Police ruled his death a suicide. Kassim Ouma, the child soldier. Born in Uganda, he was kidnapped by the rebel army and trained to be a child soldier at the age of 6. When the rebels took over the government, Kassim became an army soldier who was forced to commit many horrific things. He later discovered the army's boxing team and realized the sport was his ticket to freedom. After 12 years of warfare, Kassim left Africa and arrived in the United States. He quickly rose through the boxing ranks and became junior middleweight champion of the world. Samuel Little killed 93 people. In 2012, middleweight boxer Samuel Little was arrested on outstanding drug charges. He was forced to take a DNA test, and the results linked him to 3 unsolved murders in California. He was convicted of those murders and sentenced to life in prison without parole in 2014. Although he maintained his innocence, Little soon confessed to 93 murders between 1970 to 2005. He is the most prolific serial killer in United States history. Jiro Watanabe's Yakuza ties. Jiro Watanabe was a Japanese boxer who emerged as one of the first super flyweight champions. He only fought in Japan and Korea, and had a record of 26-2 with 17 knockouts. After his retirement, he began to be involved in the various criminal activities with the Yakuza. He was first arrested in 1995 for his illegal activities, with the first arrest coming for extortion. There was also a rumor that he killed his own mother after the Yakuza put a hit on her, but there isn't any evidence besides somebody saying it in a forum. Boxer killed by mafia. Sonny Liston was a talented fighter that was believed to be taking dives after catching the attention of several mafia associates, including Frankie Carbo and Blinky Palermo. While fighting Ali, he was knocked down, but slow-motion review shows a quick combination that seemingly misses, or, at best, only grazes Liston. Coincidentally, their first fight also ended controversially when Liston refused to come out of his corner for the 7th round, claiming a shoulder injury. 5 years later, Sonny died of heart failure and lung congestion, but needle marks found in his arm suggest he may have died of a heroin overdose. Some believe mobsters murdered him because he had a big fear of needles. Salamo Aruch in Holocaust. This last entry tells the story of Salamo Aruch, a Jewish boxer forced to fight in Auschwitz to entertain the guards during World War II. Winners received more food and less labor, while losing meant death. Salamo won 208 matches before his release in 1945. His life inspired the movie Triumph of the Spirit.